Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The scriptures attempt to explain something which cannot be explained through words. The subject they are attempting to teach is so subtle that words cannot contain that. But however, communication, teaching is possible only through words. There is no other way. There is no other option we have. So they use very many words to explain what that reality is, what the truth is. So the problem is there with the very material that they wanted to communicate. The subject itself is subtle. On top of that, the receptacles also have issues. The students also have an issue here. The limitations of the students also adds to the problem. So there are, both the sides there is an issue. That's why every class we chant this invocatory prayer. Ma vid vishavahai. Let there not be any dispute, confusion amongst us. Why? Because the subject is so difficult. It cannot be communicated, and the student has certain limitations in terms of his qualifications. This ability to understand the subtler themes needs a lot of preparations from the student's aspect. And there are very many qualifications they give for that. This adhikaritvam is referred to. Are you qualified for that? One is everybody needs this knowledge. Everyone got to gain that knowledge of their true identity, correct? The problem is not the need. The problem is, are you capable? See, so first thing what we have to do is you have to develop your qualification for that. This adhikaritvam should be gained first. Are you a qualified student is the question that we have to ask. What is the qualifications? They give us specific qualifications are there. Sadhana chatushtaya is referred to as Sadhana chatushtaya sampat, the wealth of fourfold. What is that? Viveka, that ability to understand the difference, the discerning ability. And then Vairagya, the necessary dispassion towards the lower is the second qualification. If you are passionate about the world, you cannot pursue anything beyond the world. Isn't it? You can never conceive of anything beyond it. So once you have that Viveka, then you will gain that Vairagya. Then Shatsampati, they say. Sixfold qualifications, sixfold qualities. There is the next one. Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana. These are the sixfold qualifications. And then Mumukshatwa, that earning desire for liberation, for which you need to first understand you are limited first. Again, we go back to Viveka. So this is the one complements the other. So that's how those four qualifications are given. So in terms of the necessary qualification, there is a limitation. Even if you have all the qualification, the subject itself has a problem. Now here, we are not discussing about the qualifications of the student. Here in this supreme reality, in this chapter, the supreme reality, we are discussing, we are assuming that you are having the necessary qualification. That's assumption here. Assuming that you have that necessary qualification, still there is a problem. However, they attempt to give it. How they are attempting to give it, why they are attempting to give it is because of the compassion that they have, knowing fully well that it cannot be. Words cannot carry the reality. Can silence carry the reality, sir? That is also not possible. Neither the words nor the silence can carry the knowledge of that supreme reality. Still, they attempt to explain. In that attempt only, we have seen those 15 pointers being given to us. Various pointers he gave for us to reflect upon, for us to work on. Those 15 pointers, they are not Brahman. Please remember, they are not the definitions of Brahman. They only indicate. Like I gave this example, remember, exactly like the wall clock is the indicator of time. The wall clock that is hanging there is not defining time. It indicates time. Similarly, these 15 words, are not defining Brahman. They point out, they give a direction for our thinking to move. Otherwise, we stand blackout. You have to sit and supreme reality. Okay, you think about that supreme reality. Your thoughts will not have any direction to move. So just to give it some direction, some engagement for it, by which one day you will hit that. Is there a guarantee for that, sir? The Shastras say there is. Sustain. Stay with it. Exactly like in the example that we have seen earlier, the Chandra Shaka Nyaya. Is there a guarantee that I will see the moon? No. But then, if you follow the path, if you follow the directions given by you, you will be telling me, Ishwaran, yes, you can see the moon. But can you give me in writing? Can we register the document? Guarantee. There is neither guarantee here nor warranty here, we'll say. But the scriptures, these masters say, I give you guarantee, man. In that, we understand the strength from which these masters are speaking, the conviction with which these masters are speaking about, whatever words they are using here. You can use all the 15 words, or you can use any one of those words, or you can use combination of those words. But those 15 words are enough for you to reflect upon, to capture what that Brahman could be, that supreme reality could be. What is God? So when somebody asks what is God, what is answer you have to give is these 15 words. Don't do all that. Huh? Okay. Immediately don't call. Somebody will on the roadside will ask you. Or your grandchild will come and ask, is there God? Don't start immediately. Huh? Nirmamo, Nishkriyo, Nityo, and all that you don't start. Okay. This is for you to contemplate. This is for you to reflect upon. Somewhere down the line, we will get some idea. Instead of going blackout. That is the option. Either you go blackout, nothing happens to you, and we believe going blackout is something extraordinary for us. Why? Because every thought that appears in the mind causes agitation. Therefore, we all want to experience cessation of all thoughts. See, now we think, when I go to spiritual places and all that, I go blank. Mind goes blank. When your mind goes blank, you think that is something elevating to you. It's not elevation, please. It is just pure ignorance. Going blackout is not what is spiritual growth is all about. Now, for you, if you were to sit in this 2.5 weeks or so, the gap that you have had, I don't know what you people were doing. The assumption I had was you would have attempted to reflect on the words. At least. Succeeded or not is a different thing. At least you would have had a chance to go through it again. I know how many of you did it. If you would have attempted, you would have realized one thing. Right? You would have started thinking in a matter of 4 or 5 minutes later, you go back to the same position as blackout. Then what? Immediately you will go back to, okay, what did Ishwaran say in the class? Or what did those who are doing this e-learning course will say? What did Swamiji do in the e-learning course? So immediately you will switch over to something, but we find difficulty in sustaining the thought process. Now, to aid that sustenance of the thought process is where the further development of the chapter is. The next topics. All these topics will look independent of each other. These topics are not linked to each other. Earlier portions, we would have seen each topic in the chapter leading to the next chapter, next topic. Suddenly we find from here, all those topics were standing in isolation. Suddenly he will talk about Trinity. From Trinity, he will jump over to the 3 schools of thought. Only connection is what? There are 3 here, there are 3 there. In Trinity also there is three. Three schools of thought also, three. Three. Then immediately we will start thinking what? Oh, what is the link between this and that? There's no link. Now, what he is doing now on is to give a direction for us to continue our reflective attempt. When you are attempting to reflect, you need some material, some direction. For that, he is giving all this now. So you can take this ideas and apply that to your reflection. Take those ideas and apply that to your independent thinking. You are supposed to do that. But if you ask me, I will not recommend. Right? But then, as an experimentation, you can try that. It is very interesting exercise to experiment it and see what is happening at the, how your thought progression is happening. For that, these things will aid. So after giving those pointers, he is moving on to explaining how that supreme reality, that Brahman, is manifesting. First one, what he has given is, technically we call it as Nirguna Brahman. How that Nirguna Brahman, because of that play of Maya, is manifesting itself. So this would be little easier for us to connect with. This pure Brahman is almost impossible to comprehend. It is incomprehensible. Right? That is one of the definitions of Brahman. Achintyam is one of the definitions of Brahman itself. You cannot comprehend it. But then the manifestations can be comprehended. So, he says, for those who are not able to sustain their thinking on this, he gives manifestations of Brahman. So, a person will be able to relate to this better. It is little easier to follow through. That's the idea here. Right? And then thoughts will be given. The next he gives is the process of assertion and negation. How do you assert and negate? So, which one? You have to assert that Nirguna Brahman and negate the Saguna Brahman, for which you need to know both. So that's why he is giving first. First, he has given you some idea about Nirguna Brahman, and now he is going to give you an idea about what is this Saguna Brahman, technically. Right. Then we go through this topic and then I'll explain. Right. You can read the full topic in, this manifestations of Brahman. Yes.
Manifestations of Brahman. Brahman is one homogeneous mass of reality, but the manifestations of Brahman are manifold, just as electricity is one while its expressions are manifold. The sun is one, its reflections manifold. Not knowing the unifying nature of Brahman, the ignorant masses relate to its multifarious expressions. They become involved in their differences, divide themselves into various factions, and suffer the bitterness and misery arising therefrom. The wise rise above differences, recognize the Brahman through its manifestations, see unity in the diversity, identify with the Supreme Being, and revel in its peace and bliss. Brahman is the substratum of the microcosm and macrocosm that constitute the world. It is the center around which both of them revolve. That supreme being resides in yourself within. Discover yourself. The entire world will merge into it. A highly evolved spiritual person finds the expression of divinity everywhere. He would go into raptures merely at the sight of a flower or fruit. William Wordsworth was in ecstasy when he beheld the daffodils, whereas a less developed one, not as spiritually evolved, would need something more striking, perhaps a glorious sunrise or sunset to inspire him. And the least developed, with hardly any spiritual insight, would react only to spectacular sights like the snow-capped Everest or the mighty Niagara Falls. Anything less would not stimulate the divinity in him. But then there are unspiritual extremists who do not react even to spectacular, breathtaking expressions of nature. They remain grossly inhuman, blind to the splash of divinity lavished all over. Those are the persons who need miracles to excite them. Only such unnatural gimmicks could stir them from their spiritual slumber. These barren characters lack the fundamental spiritual trait of the human species. Everything in the world rests in your inner self. All perception, emotion, and thought proceed from the self. The world has no reality of its own, but people look upon it as real in itself, make a wrong evaluation, give it false attributes, which causes privation and pain, suffering and sorrow. They do not realize that the world has no status, substance, standing apart from the underlying reality. You may give the world as much status as you would a picture of your family. The picture is valued, loved, not for what it is worth, but because of your family that it represents. The picture has no value apart from the family. Likewise, the world is a picture of the reality. It has no inherent value without the reality. Learn to regard the world as you would the picture. Understand the reality alone exists. Recognize the reality in and through all your experiences in life. Regard all happenings as a grand theatrical performance, as Shakespeare has wisely advised. Thus must you view the world from the balcony of your inner self. Watch the procession of action and perception, emotion and thought go by. Do not allow yourself to become involved, enmeshed with them. Stand apart, be objective, be a witness, Sakshi. All goes well thereafter. No friction, no frustration in life. You attain enduring peace and bliss. The question remains, how does one extricate oneself from the worldly entanglement and identify with the self within? Here is a simple parable which suggests a practical way to go about it. There was a king who ruled his state to perfection. His subjects adored him. He was advancing in age and had no heir to his throne. His ministers were concerned over the future of the state. They approached the king reverentially and laid the problem before him. The king resolved to nominate his heir. After reflecting over the matter, he decided to organize a grand exhibition with the finest exhibits from different parts of the world. In that exhibition, he would be somewhere incognito. The subjects of the state would all be invited to the exhibition. He who finds him out shall be the heir to the throne. This was the royal proclamation. The proclamation was publicized. The exhibition declared open. People thronged to it. Everyone searched for the disguised king. Soon their excitement and enthusiasm died away. They became involved in the variety of the fascinating displays and quite forgot the search. They lost the very purpose of the exhibition. In that aimless mob, one young man persisted with the search, determinedly pursued the goal, maintained consistency of his purpose. put forth all efforts to discover the king and remained detached from the attractions around. He searched every nook and corner, at last reached the farthest end of the exhibition. There he found a small, neglected temple. It was a permanent structure in the vast exhibition grounds. Quite exhausted with the search, the young man sat at the entrance of the temple. He heard a prayer chanted by a priest inside. Ignoring the ritual, he promptly went in and examined the priest. And lo, there was the king disguised. The king commended the youth's determination and effort and crowned him king of the state. So it is with Brahman. Brahman remains incognito in the world. People are lost in the phenomena of perception, emotion, and thought. Few care to search for the reality that lies beyond the fascinations of the world. People are lost in the pleasures of life. They have virtually abandoned the kingdom of bliss. The wise one, however, rises above all terrestrial attraction, searches and researches Brahman in the phenomenal world. That rare one finds Brahman, becomes Brahman.
This is the manifestations of Brahman. Manifestations are exactly like how clay manifests as various pots. So remember that example. It's an easy one to follow through. How this is happening, sir? That one homogeneous principle is what is manifesting as this heterogeneous variety that we are seeing in the world. Those who are not perceiving, those who lack the capacity to perceive that unifying reality, which is the substratum, what happens to those people? They get carried away by the manifestation. So the one who is not able to see the clay gets carried away by the pot. What is that? All various names and shapes, like gold in the ornaments. The one who is not able to see that gets carried away by this. Whereas a goldsmith is not going to be getting carried away by the ornaments. The goldsmith looks out only for the gold in it. Similarly, a thief also looks only for gold in it. So the thief doesn't perceive the ornaments. The thief perceives the gold. Have that perception, he says. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says that. Yes. Have the perception of a thief. He has better vision than you, says. Those who lack that vision, that penetrative vision, get carried away by the immediate, get carried away by the manifestation. And then he says, what happens to those people? They get involved in the manifestations, and those manifestations are multifarious. Since they are all multifarious, they get involved with the differences. Once they get involved with the differences, what happens? They get involved with the differences, then they start creating that particular faction, he says. I belong to this group. You belong to this. What is interesting is your senses will see only divisions and demarcations. Your eyes can never perceive the unifying factor. That's where you need knowledge. It is knowledge that gives you an understanding of the unifying factor. Your eyes will see only what? That is the nature of eyes. We learn to develop that what is referred to as Gnanachakshu, the eye of wisdom, third eye. That's why Shiva has a third eye. And then they put a drawing also. It's not that he had some third eye, no weird looking one. Now, third eye, what it is referred, what it means is he has the power to see through another eye. Now, we all see the world through the fleshy eyes, which gives us the data about the diversity, division. Unification cannot be seen. That's not possible. Unification can be understood. In and through all the diversity, you see a unity. That is a knowledge. The substratum, unless you dismiss the appearance and probe into the appearance and reach to the substratum, the unification is only at the level of the substratum, not at the level of manifestations. That's the first point he gives. Those who get involved in the differences and demarcations will create faction and friction. Why? To which manifestation you will get involved with? That particular manifestation which is appealing to you. Anything that is appealing to me, I will hold on to that manifestation, that facet of it, rejecting all other manifestations, and definitely I have no clue about the substratum. So that is what he is referring to as, there is bitterness. What is this bitterness from? From where it is coming? It is coming because of your involvement with the particular manifestation. Now, which manifestation you will get impressed with? Like which quality in the other person you will get impressed with? That quality which you lack. Isn't it? When you are living a life of indiscipline, when you see someone disciplined, you get impressed. When you live a life of poverty, you see someone living in opulence, you get attracted to. You get impressed, isn't it? I can't control my tongue. Example, okay. No control over eating. Anything and everything offered, anytime, keep filling up. The fellow, after having, heart full, and this guy, I was there with him, sitting with him. We have been invited to a house in Dubai. You are there as a house guest. So that lady is she is one of the best cook I have seen. And she has prepared for just about 4 of us, 2 of them and 2 of us. For 4 of us, she has prepared about 17 dishes. Tasting one by one itself, we are finished. See. And this fellow, he ate. I've never seen anyone, eating like that. And this fellow ate and ate and ate. Then he is not able to get up and come and sit in the lounge. From the dining table, he is not able to get up and come. And then she is telling him, oh, there is so much I prepared. I wanted to do this, that, something else is telling. And this man screams out of his one, I've eaten so much. Don't give me anything for next 1 hour. Now, when he sees someone who is having complete control over his eating, he considered that person to be extraordinary. Why? You see that particular manifestation, you get involved in that one aspect. Which aspect you get involved is what is interesting, he says. Everything is expression of that divinity only. The problem is you miss the divinity and get involved in the expression. So once you get involved in one expression, you will reject other expressions. That rejecting other expressions means if I were to get involved with another manifestation, there is a fight between you and me. Which manifestation is divinity? You will go on claiming that particular manifestation, that expression to be divine, rejecting my expression, and I will go on rejecting your expression, your conception. That is where the whole world is, he says. There is tremendous amount of bitterness and friction in the world. Why? Because of everyone says manifestation of God only, divinity only. But the problem is what? Only this manifestation is divinity, not everything. You see? Now, this is where the problem is, it says. What is the problem here? The main problem is in pockets you cannot have the perception of divine. If that one manifestation is divine, what about the other manifestations? This alone is divine. Others are? They are not divine. They are not divine means what? This is divine. Others are not divine. What is the meaning of not divine? Demonical. So, if you are not going to be falling in with, toe-lined with my acceptance of that particular expression, what are you? If this is divine, this alone is divine, this manifestation, this expression alone is divine, rest are all what then? Not divine, means what? Demonical. How is it possible that one facet of it is divine, another aspect is not divine? And that is how you will perceive. When you perceive like that, what is going to be the outcome of that? Bitterness and friction. And this accounts for what is happening in the world now. The whole world is subject to this disease. What is a disease? Getting involved in a particular manifestation, particular expression of divinity. Forgetting to go into seeing that unifying factor. Remember that unification is impossible at the level of manifestation. Don't try to see at the level of perception, emotions and thoughts, there is a possibility of unification. No. Unity is not here. Then where is a unity? The unity is in the substratum. That substratum is Brahman. Unless you are able to dismiss the manifestation and go in search of the substratum, you will never be able to. That's the exercise he is going to teach us next. how that has to be done and all that. Now, all that he is giving is only this much now. Says this is the problem now. The various manifestations that you are seeing. What are the various manifestations? The various names and forms that you are experiencing in the world. All this is what? This. But then, if you are not able, if you are not seeing all that is manifestations of Brahman, then what will happen? You get carried away by a particular manifestation. You accept that, reject others. What do you accept? Anything that appeals to you, accept. Anything that is not appealing to you, reject. It's as simple as that. Anything you like, you accept. Anything that you don't like, you don't accept. So it is finally boiling down to what? My perception, my likes and dislikes, my appreciation, full stop. We don't care to penetrate, care to probe anything beyond all this. So he says the entire manifestation, this manifested world, what is a manifested world? Manifested world means there are two. What are they? Macrocosm and microcosm. All this we have seen already, right? This macrocosmic world, also this microcosmic individual. The Jagat and Jiva. Macrocosm and microcosm. Both, for both, who is the substratum? Brahman is the substratum. How exactly? Like the clay is the substratum of all the pots. Gold is the substratum of all the ornaments. Don't say, what about platinum? Okay, I'm talking about gold ornaments. For all the ornaments cannot be the same. Ornaments are all different. So here, your ability to see the clay in the pot. When you see a pot, you should understand the pot is nothing but what? A clay. So you have to reach that state. How do you reach that state? There is a reasoning to be done for that. There is an analytical approach that you have to do. You have to first understand pot and clay, then apply that to world and Brahman. Pot is world, clay is Brahman. Don't say Brahman is clay. It's a comparison. What is this? For a pot to exist, is it possible for a pot to exist discounting clay? Pot says, I don't like clay. Get out of me. Is there any point? This is little technical analysis, okay? For any creation, for a pot to be created, what all the things go together to create a pot? Clay by itself doesn't become a pot. There is a wheel, then there is a stick the potter uses to rotate that wheel. Nowadays we have this motor. Olden days they had a stick they use the stick to rotate the wheel. Now they have a motor. Now you can put it as motor, in those days stick. Then there is a potter, and then there has to be a sunlight to dry the pots, the clay. All those things are there, isn't it? All those things come together to make a pot. This is where we say there are two types of causes. One is referred as material, another one is referred as instrumental. Rest are all instrumental causes. The instrumental causes go away, die away after the pot is created. Isn't it? The pot doesn't carry the potter all the time. Otherwise, when you buy a pot, the potter also should come along with you. Isn't it? It doesn't happen, no. When you buy that pot, only you carry the pot. You don't carry the wheel. It's taken out of the wheel. Once the shape was created, what they do, they take that away, no? It's not there. So, to a point, the wheel is needed for the clay to become a pot, or the pot is dependent on the wheel. To an extent, to a point, it is dependent on the stick. To an extent, it is dependent on the pot maker. At one point of time, the pot becomes independent of the pot maker. It becomes independent of the wheel. It becomes independent of the stick. But the pot can never become independent of the clay. It can never be separated from clay. Correct? Similarly, God is a creator, we say first. Fortunately, we have seen that in the Sunday class. I just explained it. That's why I'm not going into the detail again. Right, 2 days back. But it's worth repeating. Interesting. Any number of times you can repeat it. That way it is good. See, God is a creator, we say first. Then God himself became the world. Now what is God? Now God is not a pot maker. God himself is the clay now. Material cause. So first we introduce God as creator, instrumental cause. Then further understanding comes, further penetration when you do, you understand what? You understand that it is not. God is just a creator. He is the material also with which creation is. So what is this world? World is just the evolution of God, or it came out of God. Evolution also is not, because it is better, we say. Evolution is better. It is not like that. Change. Metamorphose. Because evolution and all, betterment and all that, depends on us, isn't it? Omicron virus is what? Omicron is a better virus, isn't it? Do we say that? Why? We suffer because of that. We will never say it is better. Imagine all coronaviruses were to have a class. If they were to be having a class, what they would be doing to that Omicron? The first one who became Omicron will be applauded and they will be giving rewards for that. Nobel Prize. Omicron will be getting a Nobel Prize amongst the viruses. And then Delta variant and this variant and that variant. And now there is a new variant coming. Not for us actually. See, so whenever we say evolution and all that, it is from our point of view. Not from the virus point of view. The same way here. That's why Vedanta will not use the word evolution, growth, betterment, and all that. Vedanta will use the word change. We'll simply say change. Parinam is referred to as this world is nothing but Brahman, another form. Exactly like pot is nothing but clay, another form. So a clay is what has manifested as pot. So what is substratum? Substratum means the manifested one cannot do away with something. Whatever that is called substratum. What is the substratum of all the ornaments? Gold is a substratum of all the ornaments. You cannot do away with gold. You cannot say, I am going to become free of you. Not possible. That ability to see that substratum demands a penetrative eyes, penetrative buddhi, penetrative knowledge. And that's what he is giving now in the hierarchy. From the highest to the lowest, he gives. Who will be able to see that? Those who have that perception, that ability to see that divinity everywhere, not in somewhere. Sir, I can see divinity here, but not there. Then it is not seeing divinity. You are seeing something there. I see one person as divine, another person as demonical. Definitely my neighbor. You are a very divine person, sir. Right? You are all divine people. No, not my boss. How can you say this being? That fellow is telling me. How can you call that? I said, what do you mean that? He is not even acknowledging that a person to be a living being. He says it is just a thing. Like, he's so frustrated with it. He says this is not what it is. The highly evolved person will be having that capacity, like he gives the example of Wordsworth in Daffodils. How he goes into raptures just seeing daffodils. See, that's all. I've not seen daffodils. Something comparison to daffodils we can say is this, this darba that grows near the rivers and all, You see that. There's nothing in this. You just see that and come out. That's all. There's nothing to go into rapture seeing that. But a highly evolved person has the capacity to see. When you are ignorant, what will happen? You need a spectacular thing. Like what? A beautiful sunrise or a sunset. Or one day you see a captivating moon and the clouds, the reflection of the sunset on the clouds. A few pictures when you see you can see in the Google, few pictures, but nothing like it. Actually, you have to see. When you see them in person, it's unbelievable. What a beauty that is. The descending of the cloud, how the cloud descends. It just goes from here and hits the peak of the mountain and descends. You sit there and watch. It took about a couple of hours, but it's one of the best, I would say. Beautiful it is to see. It goes dark, thick cloud, goes up, up, up. It hits, it moves, 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 moves. You can see clearly it's going to hit the peak, the mountain peak. It's going to hit there. Hits, and it cannot travel further. In the jerk, it starts coming down. Superb to see. You are so elevated. Such a sight elevates you. There are people who are even lower than that. See, they require something far more spectacular. What is it? You have to go to Himalayas. You should see that Himalayan valleys. Beautiful. Then why you came back? Right. I say, so peaceful, sir. Bangalore is not so peaceful. All these Bangaloreans came to you in Himalayas and said, please come visit. 1% less in Bangalore. Good. Which means 1 car less. Isn't it? On road. Better be there only, no? But you see that when you are seeing the Everest, or when you see the Niagara Falls, it is so beautiful, so elevating. It's amazing. You see that. For 2 days, you can feel the water flowing, the Niagara Falls. 2 days, you will be feeling that the quantum of water falling. Whew. Amazing sight. Yes. Then he breaks the paragraph and moves to the next paragraph. Up to this point, he classifies all these people to have some perception. The highest is, you just see a flower and go. Don't try all that, please, sir. Don't go and stand in front of a flower and try to go into raptures and all that. That's a mental problem. Okay? It doesn't happen like that. Don't try all that. When you see it, you understand the divinity there. That's the meaning of it. What it means is, if you are able to see the presence of divinity in such an innocuous, small place, how much you should be able to see a human being and go into rapture. In Tamil, there is a saying, பகல்ல பசுமாடு தெரியலன்னா இருட்டுல எருமாடு எப்படி தெரியும்? If you are not able to see a cow in a broad daylight, how on earth you are going to see a buffalo in pitch darkness? If a person says, sir, I have the ability to see a buffalo in darkness, but I can't see cow in the daylight. You go to ophthalmologist, they give, 7 lines will be there, no? One fellow says, sir, I can read the last line, but the first line only I'm not able to read. That means what? That fellow has mugged it up. See, that's what I used to do. Quickly go there. First thing what you do is, don't look anything. Straight I look at the board and mug up the letters. That's why these doctors, how they do? They keep changing it. They go on changing. Why? Because over a period of time, you will memorize, short-term memory. After that, what? You'll not be able to tell the truth, because everyone feels shy, Nowadays, nobody feels shy for, spectacles and all. Nowadays, it's all fashion. If you're not wearing glass, something wrong. Now, wearing glass only, you're okay. Now, I'm talking about my school days. Soda putti is how they used to call. You can't translate that. Don't ask me to translate it. Feel so shy. So how to escape? So the problem is we are wasting money. You see, that took some time for me to understand. See, you're not correcting anything. You spend money, but you're not getting corrected. So who are you fooling? But then it's so interesting to see. Imagine a person who has the capacity to see the divinity's expression in a flower. How much he should be able to see the expression of divinity in a human. You see that? It should be proportionately perceived here. Now, those who are attempting to see beauty in the flower cannot see that in fellow human. That's why only human species have a problem of relationship with its own species. No other species has a problem of relationship with its own species. Weird fellows we are. Don't try all this. I'm seeing, I see the flower and go into raptures. Don't try all that. Okay. Now, if you see the world today, majority falls into the category of the next paragraph. But this unspiritual extremists, why? Because they require what? They require a miracle. They wanted something to be happening here. This expression of, for them to register something, they needed a breathtaking expression, grossly inhuman. They need that to excite them. Like a day, I do. Your computer screen goes off. I think, wow, other people do this magic. All that is what? Tricks only. It is actually fooling you, isn't it? How on earth it is possible for someone to bring something from nowhere? It's illegal, no? I do this, I bring a 2,000 rupee note. It will be put behind bars. But even that note also will carry the signature of the RBI governor. Now, I did the magic. From where did I copy the signature of the RBI governor? That means what? I have already brought that note with me. I am holding that note. You did not see that. And then you are saying, wow. You are saying wow towards what? Huh? You are saying wow towards something, someone who's cheating you. Someone who's cheating you, fooling you, you are calling that as this. See, in life, there are only two stances you can take. Either you take a stand that everything is a miracle, or there is no such thing as miracle. You can't say something is miracle, something is not miracle. That is not possible. If you treat it that way, then you are in trouble. Now, why he calls these people blind? inhuman, unnatural. Why? Is when someone who is fooling you, will you call that person divine? I'm lying to you, will you call me divine if I lie to you? That's why he classifies them separately. He puts a separate paragraph for them. What are those people, sir? Born characters, lack fundamental spiritual trait. What is a fundamental spiritual trait? It says, these born characters lack the fundamental spiritual trait of the human species. What is the fundamental spiritual trait? Think panga. It just says, unnatural gimmicks could steer them from their spiritual slumber. These born characters lack the fundamental spiritual trait of the human species. Now we ask the question, what is the fundamental spiritual trait? That is the question. What is that? Think. And give me the answer. Let's see. So read the paragraph again and try to see. Not only this paragraph, the earlier paragraphs also. Go through it and come back. What is that he is referring to as fundamental spiritual trait, which is lacking? They don't have that in them. What is it? See you day after. For you.